to the latest episode of Boxborough Community Buzz. And with this podcast series, this is an effort with LCTV in the town of Boxborough to find a new channel to get information out to the public, the residents, about what's going on in town. And today we have a guest who's going to be sharing some information that's coming up for the upcoming months. And I have Alec Wade, our Director of Land Use and Permitting here. Welcome, Alec.
Thanks, Rajan. Appreciate you having me.
All right. And today, what I'm going to ask Alec is just a few questions about our upcoming fall town meeting and some upcoming forums just to get some information out. So, Alec, just to kind of kick it off, can you just share about your involvement in this fall town meeting as well as some of the forums that you're planning for it?
Yeah, absolutely. So back in 2023, only a year on the job for me, the town passed a second town meeting on the books, and that's our fall town meeting. That town meeting, as it's written, is meant specifically for land use activities, whether that's zoning articles, land transactions, land acquisition and moving, really the core of what my office, Land Use and Permitting, does. And this is the first time that we're actually using to its fullest extent. You'll see all of the articles, including the fire station articles, MBTA communities. Almost all of them revolve around land use and the interaction of uses, public safety, and multifamily housing in particular. So this is the first time we're really seeing the fall town meeting being used exactly what it was sketched out for. Of course, it's open and on the books for any department to leverage, but this was exactly what it was envisioned for.
And with this upcoming fall town meeting, there's some pretty big issues and some pretty big warrant articles that are coming in front. What would you say are in a few words are kind of the big high points of this town meeting?
Yeah, so, fundamental components of this town meeting are MBTA communities and public safety use code. So MBTA communities, a lot of people have heard the term. The town of Littleton, who we work with for a lot of things, has already passed their MBTA communities district, but it all tracks back to a state law that was put on the books between 2020 and 2021, requiring that communities that are adjacent to or actively use MBTA and rapid transit resources to now provide multifamily housing zoning. And it's really the zoning that's important here. It's not our job to actually construct any housing or create anything as a result of this program, but instead to prepare the zoning code that would set the stage for multifamily housing. In the case of Boxborough, we chose a district of town that already is quite dense with multifamily housing, very similar to the scope and scale of what our district would require. So we don't anticipate much immediate growth, but over time we could see maybe an additional 20 units or so added to the housing stock of Boxborough. And of course, the other article, public safety use, it's on the heels of annual town meeting where the town attempted to bring forward a municipal use code. Now we're bringing forward a public safety use code. The feedback we heard on town meeting floor was that a general municipal use code was a little too broad. People weren't quite comfortable with that, and the planning board really took that to heart. The planning board met over the summer with the select board and the fire station building committee jointly, and the three boards discussed the best way to approach this. The planning board took that feedback, they launched into several public hearings over the course of the month of August, and they came out on the other side with ultimately a split vote, but a public safety use code, definition, and some footnotes in the table of uses. As it's proposed today, public safety uses would be allowed in every zoning district while still requiring site plan review, which was already a requirement on the books, that any municipally owned or operated use would still require site plan approval.
And to just follow up on the MBTA communities warrant article, what would you say are the biggest impacts with especially participation and making sure that the passage of this article is ensured at this upcoming town meeting? What are some of the impacts of, let's say, with on a town level as well as on a state level with this article?
Yeah, so MBTA communities has been arguably the most contested law in Massachusetts over the last 4 or 5 years. Here in Boxborough, we've talked a lot about the fire station, but myself and a smaller team and cohort have been working hard on this, as have 174 other cities and towns across Massachusetts. If we fail to pass an eligible district by December of this year, the town would instantly become ineligible for a variety of funding sources. It's not just the state grants that we apply for pretty new projects like sidewalks, but some of the fundamental components. I've seen grant agreements go across my desk for departments like fire, police, where even in the core of those, in the contract terms, it's put in there that you must remain compliant with the MBTA communities law. We are currently compliant because the town submitted 2 years ago an interim action plan, and that just stepped out the process we were going to undertake, that we were in fact going to comply with the timeline. But if we failed to meet the December deadline, we would instantly become ineligible for funds, whether we've received them or not. And my department in particular, and the many departments that work with land use, we rely on this funding. There's a lot of complications to it. It's not just a matter of town funding. The regional school district could see impacts from the inability. Thankfully, Acton has already passed their district successfully, but Boxborough has to do our part just as much as the other 174 cities and towns.
Thank you for that. And just as some additional forums and just some educational sessions, could you share about something that you have coming up that you want the public to be aware of, as well as opportunities to get involved, to learn more about some of the warrant articles for this upcoming fall town meeting?
Yeah, so much of the MBTA Communities Act here in Boxborough has been an exercise in engagement. Thinking back to Pfeiffer's Day, I got to meet a variety of people who never walk through town hall doors, or at least I never see them there. So it was a great opportunity, and we want to leverage that and continue to try new ways of public engagement. So this upcoming Monday, September 29th, we're going to be hosting what I call, and what others have called, a Night at the Museum style event. We're going to be hosting out of the library space, so Sargent Memorial Library, but it's a very different, unique event tailored for a younger demographic here in Boxborough in particular. So the event itself is structured that participants will enter the library doors, and they'll have the opportunity to circulate the room in one of two directions, either proceeding forward or immediately to their left. Unlike a typical public forum where you would be seated and you would receive a presentation and then interact with structured questions, this is a self-guided experience. You walk into the room, you pick your direction, and you pick the various tables that are important to you. There are going to be two different highlights at this event. So the Fire Station Building Committee was kind enough to come forward, help me actually fill the event with people who will be facilitating certain tables. They'll be referencing information on Articles 1, 3, and 4, those being the Public Safety Use Code, as well as the two cents of the meeting articles related to the fire station. And each table on their side of the room is going to have a different piece of the component. So, for example, on the MBTA community side, my side of the room where I've structured it, we're going to have information specifically on the law, the history of the law, how it was passed, why it was passed, and why it was important to the state legislature that we go through this. As you proceed to the next table, you'll get the history and the context for Boxborough, what exactly the law requires for Boxborough. So we'll take it from a big context of the state down to a local level, Boxborough specific. As you proceed down the room, there will be tables focusing on our public engagement as well. So the various methods that were conducted, the history of the advisory group that I worked with over the past year, the planning board public hearings, as well as the different tablings, site visits, and activities that we conducted throughout the process. And finally, you'll culminate at the end of the loop with the solution being the article that was put forward. It's not our job to tell people come out and vote yes or vote no. Instead, we'll be telling people these are the articles put before you, and this is what a yes or a no vote accomplishes. But it's the opportunity for people to come out and interact with the part of the process that's most important to them. When I talk to people, whether it's at town hall in my office or out on the streets about MBTA communities, each person has totally different questions. Some people are very focused, like, well, why am I only hearing about this now? And I can educate them on, we did X, Y, and Z opportunities. These are the different ways to interact, and this is how you can still interact on town meeting floor. Others are very focused on the recourse if we don't comply with the law. They want to understand what the consequences are. And some, of course, want to come out and support it as well. They say, this is important to me. I agree with the state legislature for why it passed, and they might want to come out and voice their support. So this is a very targeted, quick opportunity where people can go at their own pace, only interact with the pieces that are important to them. And we will be providing child activities, light refreshments, the kinds of things that parents can bring their kids to, knowing that you're never more than a few feet away from your kids. We've provided a variety of coloring books, model magic, different things for kids to interact with and to play with. while you, the voters, can walk around the room and educate yourselves. And we encourage your kids to come to the table too. Teach them about the different local activities that are going on. It also syncs up with the last week to register to vote for Fall Town Meeting. Unlike an election where there's more open registration right there, town meeting doesn't have that structure. So we'll be providing a table of information on how you can register to vote, who to speak with, and even the paperwork made available. And our clerk's office is going to assist with preparing that table.
Thank you for sharing. And thank you for providing that information. This is an opportunity just for residents to get involved and to learn more about Fall Town Meeting. And I just want to thank Alec for being here on Boxborough Community Buzz to essentially just share some information about this upcoming Fall Town Meeting. Just as a reminder, Fall Town Meeting will be starting on October 14th, and it'll be at the Boxborough Regency. We encourage everybody who, especially if you're a resident in town, to get involved and to participate in this upcoming event and just this upcoming legislative session. And this concludes another episode of the Boxborough Community Buzz, and look forward to being able to share more content as the upcoming weeks. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Alec, for being here.
Thanks, John. Have a good day.